Okay, so I'm going to do my stairs at the front of the building first, and because you've got the AutoCAD drawing as a reference, it's going to help you a lot to work out the things you need for this stair. But it's good just to have an idea how you would do it in Revit without all of that set up in advance. So I'll just do a quick stair over to the right to give you an idea of the main aspects. And then you'll see also with the stair tool, you've got two options. And the new one, stair by component, I still think is a little bit, how's it going? Or not really the most consistent tool. It's a good tool. It has definitely some advantages, but like I said, it's the new tool, and it's maybe not worked out as well as Stair by Sketch, which is the older tool. So Stair by Sketch is, if you use an older version of Revit, the only option you would have had, and it's still the option I'd recommend. So until you get used to drawing stairs, I'd just be doing them with Sketch instead of Stair by component. Okay, so with the Stair by Sketch option, then you draw in plan. If you're using Stair by component, you also draw in plan, but you're working in 3D at the same time, which is a bit more involved. So again, make sure you realise going to that drop-down list, then you can choose Stair by Sketch. And then in Properties, you'll see that it'll pick up the level that you've started on. So here I'm in the ground floor. So it's starting on that ground floor base level, and then it's also picked up the level above that. So if you've got a level in between, like a mezzanine level, it'll pick that up. And if you need it to go to the level above that, you've got to change it here before you do anything else, because it still needs to know how high this stair is before you can make it. Okay, so think about the fact that you're drawing steps in the plan. It can't know how many steps you need until you know how high you've got to go. So when you've got the levels set at the top, then it'll use that to work out the number of rises. Now, you've got to know the maximum number in a flight, which you can see there it's gone over. So, so manually we'll have to change that. But otherwise, you've got the riser height there, 184, and that's fine. It'll, if you go and look at the properties there, it'll usually have 190 set up as your maximum height, and it'll just divide it to work out the number of rises. And then your tread depth as well, you should have a look at that. 250 is okay, but with the other stair, you might need to change it. And then we've got width as well, which, again, you should set in advance if you can, so I'll make it a bit wider, 1200 maybe. So unlike a lot of the other things that you make, no. No, this is only for what I'm going to make afterwards.
You're making something out of scratch?
Yeah, so I'm making a new stair, and I've got to set the properties first, and that's different to a lot of the other things you would have made in Revit where you don't have to set so much in advance. Okay, so with the stair, you have to think about all those things first, and then looking at the options it's got on the draw panel, I'm on Run already, and then I've got Straight Line selected. And then I'm just going to click a point in space. I'm going to do it out in space here. And then you'll see, if you move the cursor, it's going to show you the number of rises that you've counted or created. So at the bottom there, it might be hard to see, but in grey, it's telling me 12 rises created, 11 remaining, because we've got 26 total. So that can't be right. 18, here we go. Let's go to 20. So 20 rises created, 6 remaining. So if I click there, it'll finish that flight, and I can do the other 6 afterwards. But I'm going to go all the way to the end and make this all as one flight. That would be illegal, but we'll just do it that way for now. And I can finish it there, and that will take me from ground floor to level 1. So in 3D, we'll see the stair. And it's giving me the railing automatically. They're separate things that you can delete separately. But I'll delete the stair as well. And so then a spiral stair, I'll go back again to Stair by Sketch. Still with Run, I'm just going to change it from straight to curve. And then I'll do a center point first. And then it's just like a normal stair. You click the start for your first step, and then come around to do the end. Click to finish. Yep. And there we go. So if you want a true spiral, which is essentially one on a post, then it would just have a small radius. And so again, just with curve, I'll do it. We know it's 1200 wide, so I'll take this, say 650 or 660. That'll do. And that's going to be a much tighter curve. So it probably can't do all of the steps or the rises without going on top of itself. Yeah. And that's where you can have problems with spiral stairs. Now, honestly, it's not something you should need to worry about. People often get to this point and think, oh my God, Revit's not going to do the stairs that I want to do. But you've got to think about what's possible, because if I go one more step, that's my 18th step, and that's the maximum I can have anyway. Yeah. And you need a landing. Yeah. And so if you're going on top of your stairs, a lot of older spiral stairs you'll see do that, but these days it's pretty difficult to do that without going over the limit. So just watch out for that, but otherwise spiral stairs, you can do pretty much anything you want. And so I finished that with less than the rises I needed, but it's okay, you can do that. If you get a message like that, again, don't worry about it. So there's the other one that I've done, which has some issues with that railing on the inside, but of course you wouldn't have one there anyway. And it's the, yep, there we are, so that railing can go. Yeah, and it's the stringer. So if I go into here, I'll make a new stair type, and I'll just turn the right stringer to none, and that should fix that. And then you put a post. Yeah, so yeah. And that's how it would be built. So in real life, you wouldn't have a stringer on that inside. You just have the steps coming off the post. And so you just use a column for that. Oh yeah, so these I'll just get rid of. And so that's for stairs in a single run. But then, so going to the one with the drawing, you've got these stairs that are a little bit more involved because they've got several flights. So here we've got, 1, 2, 3, and then on the next level 4 flights in this stair alone. And then you've got the extra part coming off, which you'd have to do as a separate stair. So that's okay though. And so I'm just going to go to stair by sketch again. And so with run, I could do all of this, but I want to pick lines off the AutoCAD drawing. So you've also got the option, sorry, it's just freezing, of drawing the boundaries and the rises. So I'll just draw a run quickly over here, and you'll see that when you use the run tool, it makes these green lines on the sides. They're your boundaries. The black lines are your rises. And then the blue line's the run line, which you only get when you use that run tool. So I'll delete that. So you don't need the run line, you just need the boundaries and the rises. And so with boundary, I'm going to choose, I'll just use, pick lines. And no, so I'll draw the lines. And I'll just draw on the top of the stair there. And notice I've just drawn along the side of the steps. And then I'm going to do a new line. So this is for the side. Essentially, if you know about stair construction, it's where the stringer would be. So there, I just want to make sure it goes, we'll draw a new line for that. So you have to be careful where you start and stop these. and it's being a bit difficult because it wants to snap to different things, but essentially as long as I get the right number of boundaries in. Okay, so I've put in every change of direction, so going around these sides of the walls is going to give me the shape of that stair on the outside. But I've also put in a new line every time I want to change of direction. So there, if you imagine, that's going along the side of the landing, which would be flat, and then it has to slope up along here. So I've got to do a new line for that. And then the same on the inside. The inside's a bit more straightforward. And so then with risers, you can draw every step. So including the first one. So just think about the front of every step that you need. And, okay, so here maybe I can try pick lines to save a bit of time. Yep.
And so is there any reason that you're leaving those internal steps up to these stairs out, those ones there?
Oh yeah, so you couldn't do those in the one stair. It's not clever enough to figure that out. So yeah. Yeah. And so this one I'll just draw to make sure it goes from the corner there up to the wall. Loop. Okay, so I know I've got the level above lined up with this, so I can switch to that any time and just keep working there. Right, so now I can just draw my new boundary for this side, and then drawing risers. Again, I'll just pick line. Oh yeah, I will. Yep, I do. Yep.
Do the exterior last.
Yeah, you can do it in any order, but yeah, probably here that would make sense. And so yeah, okay, so it's being difficult, so I'm just going to take it anywhere that's straight, and then this one I'll do the same thing, just going over to the right, and then with trim, can join it and make sure that I don't have extra lines there. So it's just the two lines on the side, and that's everything I need, I think. So, okay, so I've drawn all of the riser lines, and that's how it knows how many risers are in the stair. Okay, so you've got to make sure that you have the desired number there the same as the actual number that you've drawn. This number here, 26, is the number I've drawn. So I'll finish that, and fingers crossed. Yep, okay, so it's telling me there's a problem with the stairs, so I'm just going to try delete element and see, no, it doesn't like that, so I'm going to undo it. And I'll read what it says this time. So it's quite common with stairs to get a message like this. Okay, so it's saying that the line from one of the risers doesn't intersect with the boundary line. So, in other words, there's a gap somewhere. So I'm going to go to the other plan.
When something like that comes up, how do you find it? Do you select it all?
Yeah, well, if you try with, if you try show, it should, well, it'll zoom to where the problem is, but here it's saying there's no views where it can show us. So in that case, you've just got to try and find where there's a problem. So using trim often works pretty well. So here, that's not too bad. That's all trimmed. Okay, so there, I didn't follow my own rule, and I've got an extra line, so I think that could be where the problem is. Okay, so no, okay, so still got to just keep going until it's solved, and these corners can often cause a problem as well. So Don't want to. Oops. Now, what's going on there? So with thin lines as well, you can often see where there are any problems. That looks pretty good to me. There we are. So it's showing me the problem now. So let's see, maybe it was just here. There we are. So maybe that was all it was. Nope. Okay, so let's just get rid of all of that. And drawing in a new boundary. It can be tedious. So here I'm just going to make most of the boundaries again. It's usually the boundaries that are going to cause the problems. The risers are a bit more forgiving. A lot more, actually. You don't even need to have the risers touching the boundaries. Okay, so no. Okay, so maybe it is those corners, and the trick there is to check the distance that you have. Yeah, okay, so here we are. So the AutoCAD drawing again is the culprit. Okay, and so it's got these lines in the second flight which are inaccurate. So I've just taken them out, and there we are. I think that's the line that was off. So I think, well, just take all of that out actually. Okay, so just to test that it's working, if you've got it with the ends capped or closed, and the basic requirement is that you have an outer edge for the boundary on one side, so you can see tracing around this, I've got a green line going all the way to the last riser line, and then coming back from the other end of that, that green line goes all the way back to the other end of the first one. So I'm going to finish it now, even though it's only got 13 risers, it should let me finish it if it's closed. There we are. So that's working now, which means the sketch is okay, and that it was one of those risers in there, which again means the AutoCAD again was off. So that's not uncommon with AutoCAD, unfortunately. But so here I'm drawing in some new risers where I know I'll need them, and this is good to see actually, because this is how you would work out a stair. So from each of those landing lines, you would have a riser, and here again it's being difficult, so I'm just going to do it anywhere and sketch it out afterwards. I might even use trim. So, yep, it's just snapping to something underneath, I think. And so again, before I go too far, just to make sure everything I've done so far is working, it doesn't hurt to test it, finish it. Okay, so again, it's giving us a warning, but that's okay, it's created it otherwise. And then, looking at the plan here, oh no, it is in the ground floor. Okay, so we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 treads there, or 8 risers. So going into the other ground floor. Okay, so I want to divide that up evenly. And so there are a few ways. Maybe, I'll show you an easy way for you, just again drawing risers. So I'll just draw my, 6 extra lines that I need. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
This is doing those by lining them up to the other flight, isn't it?
You could, but well, no. See, they're different spacings.
Yeah.
So these just need to be even within that flight.
So how did you know where to put them?
Oh, I've just drawn them roughly.
Oh.
So I've drawn the number of lines I need, and now I'm going to use an aligned dimension and dimension all those lines. And then equals will adjust them. So now I'm just going to make sure it didn't move. Now, see how it moved these 2 lines, this one and this one? And I don't want that. So I'm going to pin those. So I'm going to pin this one and this one. And then selecting the dimension. So make it equals now. Oh, it's moving them again. Okay, so that's a bit tedious. We want them locked, so pinning for most things will work, but if it doesn't, then you can always join a dimension and lock it. And to there. So again now, why is it changing that? Oh, well, okay, so it's locked that, but it's moved the whole stair, so I've also got to, it's pretty tedious, but you have to do this, align with the bottom wall there, that boundary or something like that. And then finally equals it, there we go. Okay, so it's a bit painful, but you will get there in the end, and your stair might not be like this anyway, but if you have those issues, often you need to know those things, so it's ended up being a funny number, but we don't even need to know what that is. That wouldn't be typical. In real life, you would always do it 240 or standard measurement, but here it's an older stair, so that's actually not that unusual. So I'll finish that, and it will hopefully work this time, finally. There we go. So again, in the 3D view, you can check that. Right, so I'll just go to wireframe, and you can see the stair there has come in with all these railings, which I'd say for this stair aren't necessary at all. So you could just delete those. And then you can even just set this stair to say monolithic, which will maybe give you something more like the stair you actually need. And oh yeah, and then you can just add. So going back to the ground floor with the drawing, I want just a couple of extra steps now. So the trick there is again just using stair by sketch. Here I can just use the run tool, but I need to know the width. So it's 951. Let's make it 950. Okay, so in properties there, yeah, I'll just make it 950. And then using the run tool, notice it's on 26 risers in total. I'm going to do just from the from the midpoint of this line, so I'm going to type SM and then click on the line, and then coming down to the line below, I'm just going to let it give me just the 2 risers. Sorry, 3 risers it's going to give me. And the height of those is going to be the same as the other stair, because this stair, even though I've only drawn 3 risers, has 26 in total. So it's got the same divisions. Yeah. And so the trick there though is make it first, then if you want it to be monolithic, change it to that afterwards. And so then in the 3D view, I'll delete the railings. So that'd be good enough for now, just to give you something that's visually going to look like one stair. And then, yeah, so you can do any stairs like that with multiple flights. But then the U-shaped stair you've got at the back, there's just one more thing to think about. Okay, because here you can only see 2 of the flights, and the same in the next plan. It's got 4 flights, and to do that, it's much easier to put in an extra working level, essentially, a level just to work with to help you with things like stairs. And then this stair should be really quick and easy. You should get it done plenty of time, hopefully. So I'm going to put a level here, which is in between levels 1 and 2. Yeah, or ground floor, exactly, yeah. Right, now I don't want that level to show in really any of my views. I don't want the plan view, so I'm going to delete that just by right-clicking. You can delete it in the floor plans, from your ceiling plans, and yeah, well, I can still see the things on this level in the plans from the levels above and below.
Yeah.
So I'm just using this level as a measuring object, not to look at anything. And so then the structural plan as well, I'm going to delete. And now you can see it's got a black arrow instead of a blue arrow. And that's how you can tell the ones with the blue arrows have plans. The ones with the black arrows don't. Yeah, so you can have levels there just as a reference, which is really useful. So I call this stair or fire stair landing. And then I'm just going to make sure that the heights there are equal. So it's 4800, 2400. Yep, that's right. Okay, so then back in my floor plan with the drawing. Right, so I'm just going to make a, again, stair by sketch. So the width of it, just check, 1050. Okay, so in properties there, that's really important. And then the levels, I'm just going to check that it's going to fire stair landing. And then looking at the risers, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so 14 risers in half of these stairs, 28 in total. So in properties here, I'm going to change the desired number there to 14. That's really important as well. And now with run, I can just draw over that line and then to the end. So notice I'm drawing over the middle of the stairs. That's always where you draw them, using the centre line of the stair. Now, the lines haven't lined up, but that's because the AutoCAD lines are out. I've got the same number of lines, haven't I? There's no lines missing, I can't see. Yeah, so that's, I can't believe I didn't notice that was so far out. But yeah, the first step there must be a lot bigger than the last one. So anyhow, that's fine. So, oh, just the way they've drawn it is. In real life, yeah, that would be illegal if they'd built it like that, but I'd say it's not built like that. So, so here you can see it's got this line below being highlighted. And I'll turn thin lines off to make it easier to see. And then also the line from my AutoCAD is being highlighted. And then coming over to the right, it's not lining up my risers. What's going on there? Oh, okay, so there's an extra thing we've got to look at there. It's because, again, the AutoCAD was off, and so it's not lining up properly because this last step was too big. Okay, so that last step, it's ended up being 328, 321.8. Okay, so to fix this, you've actually got to do it in a certain way. These are all 250. All of the other treads that I drew first. It's just the last one. It's just stretched it out a bit to match the where I finished it. So I'm going to bring it back to be 250 first. And then I'm going to select the whole lot with the window and use the move button to snap it across to the left. And then also I'm going to stretch that blue run line onto the black one. So those little things will make a difference to the way the stair behaves. And so then going back to the run tool, if I go onto this line and then over to the right, it's not lining up with the AutoCAD, but it lines up with mine, which is all that matters. And so this puts a landing in for you with the run tool. So you don't have to draw the landings, just the flights, the blue line. And so that one's done. If I finish that. And now I'm going to go into properties and set that to multi-story. So it's got multi-story top, and I'm going to set that to level 1. So that'll make it a double stair. And in, well, I'll copy my, I'll just do a new section.
So it will figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
So because you put the top at level 1, it knows that it needs to double what you just drawn.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
so if you had put the top to level 2, it would just still improve that. Say there wasn't a...
Yes. If they're even, the limitation is they have to be even. But yeah, it will do that, exactly.
Set
Yeah.
up the geometry of the basic layout.
Yep, that's right, exactly. Yep. Yep. So for this stair, pipe at most for the railing, if you even have that, and that's it. So, oh yeah, and then we better set them to monolithic. Oh yeah, that's a good point. So, it's done these on the left, obviously, but I finished the stair here.
Yeah, so it has to
Exactly. So, that's right, you would. And also, one other thing, I didn't think about the extra step up you've got there, which we talked about before. So we can adjust the stairs afterwards. That's not a problem. You'll easily be able to bring it up for that. But we'll still need a landing there as well. So then on level 1, now I can go and draw in a new floor. And here I'm just going to draw a rectangle going from the corner of my stair to the corner of the wall. And I'll change it to generic, just generic 150 here would be fine. And finish it. And then I'm going to use copy to clipboard, paste, align to selected levels, which is the landing. Yep. So there we go. So they're a bit thin, they could be a bit chunkier to look like the stairs. No.
No, because it's a section of your stair, so that reaches the wall. It goes up to the edge of the wall.
So look, if you really want to get carried away, you can model in the frog, or the extra bit there that you'd need, but I wouldn't get too carried away. Maybe
Also just add
a thicker floor.
like 3D component as well.
You could, yeah. But a thicker floor, something like that, covers it. And
You're not having to, it's a step up to the top, up to level 1.
yeah, that's right.
Effectively created a step up.
Yeah, and maybe actually, well, it's a very quick thing I can show you for that. So the 5-stair landing level, I've got there, showed you how to get that with the black arrow, so it doesn't have a plan. Another way is to copy. If you copy a level, and let's say it's, well, we said 180, so let's do that, 180. So I've copied level 1, and
I'll give it 180 plus.
yep, yep. Okay, so notice it's got a black arrow though. So I'll unlock the end and get that away from the others. Okay, so it's come in black because if you copy a level, instead of using the level button to make one, you don't get the views. And that's a good thing because there's no way you'd want a plan for this level. It's level 1 will be the same plan. So this is really top of 5-stair. What am I doing? Yep, top 5-stair. And so then all I need to do now is work out this landing should be 2490. It's going to tell me the multi-story won't work anymore, but that's okay. I can go into here and just change that multi-story to top of fire stair, and it will work again. And now change this landing to top of fire stair, and that's fixed it. Where the stair isn't.
With the landing, it goes all the way across to the stair and comes up to halfway, and then there's the other half where it would be a little bit fuller.
The landing goes.
Yeah, look, you could.
But the stairs only come up to half of that. So it's between
Yeah,
the walls.
only if you're changing it. Only if you're changing it. This is all existing. Okay, so if you're changing this stair, then you could detail it and draw it up properly. Otherwise, it's just indicative to indicate there's a fire stair there and that you've got an idea what's happening with the landings and the railings. Yeah.
You're looking at it from an elevation, not looking at it.
Yeah, no, but in the actual, so the stairs go here, the walls are there.
Yeah, free space here, but the railing would come across. You'd see the railing in section here.
Oh yeah, but on the top of the fire stair, would it go with that?
Probably not. So probably they'd have, probably they'd have that all the way across.
Yeah.
You could finish it there though, and then have a railing there, and then you would see that from the side in elevation. You could do it like that. But structurally, that'd be difficult because you have nothing holding the floor up. Whereas if you take it all the way across, the floor can just be held up by the walls.
That's where the second stair would go if you were then going up to
So anyhow, for the fire stairs at the back, I wouldn't get too carried away making them perfect, but it's good to have them set up with the levels to make it clear what's happening there. And then just finally, I've got the railing on the outside, which is so. No, you don't. That's right, exactly. So you could take that out, but I thought it's a good chance to show you. Well, if you don't want to delete it, deleting it would be fine, and in the railing for a fire stair is totally acceptable. But if you did want an outer railing that's just sitting on the wall, just wanted to show you how to get things from the library. Stairs and railings. There's number one rule: you can't load them. You've got to use open. So I'll keep repeating this, but just trying to remember it. Main menu, open. Browse, not to the main metric library, but the Revit library here, and then you'll see sample files. You'll have sample files, but it's got the new versions of things, which for railings is fine, but for the stairs will cause some problems. So. Yeah, at first, and look, next week when I go through it all, you'll see why. Yeah. So anyhow, with the railings file, you'll see all these pre-made railings. Because people often think there aren't railings and stairs in the library because you don't have a railings or a stairs folder. And it's just because you load them in differently. They're there. And walls and things as well. Walls and floors and roofs. There aren't many in the library. There are some. But if you have a look in the UK and the Scandinavian, the Swedish libraries have massive selections of walls and things. Yeah, it's, the Autodesk download site has all the different regional things. So here you can see all these different railings, and this one doesn't even have a balustrade. It's just a wall-mounted railing. Yep. So to get that into my file, I'm going to use copy to clipboard, Control Tab, back into the project file, Control V to paste. Don't worry about messages like this. Click to place it, and it's now part of this project.
Oh, great, okay.
So I'm going to delete that particular railing, but I can select any railing now and choose that new type.
So you just literally, because you pasted it in the project, then it's an option.
That's it.
See, that's good.
Yep. So, yeah, so railings, you can see they're separate objects, and maybe I can't help myself, it's a very fun thing because I did want to show this to you today. The railing, I just want to draw one by itself. So you've got the railing tool, even easier to use than stairs. I'm just going to use sketch path, and I'm going to draw a line. That's the path for my railing. So I'll finish that, and then in my 3D view, There it is. It's the horrible default railing. So in properties, you can change it to the others that you have preloaded. But to get more, just remember that trick of opening that railings file and you can get the others in there from that. Yeah, copy and paste. But yeah, otherwise they're pretty easy to draw. And you know, it's a really quick automatic thing you can add that makes your projects look much more complete and believable. So,